last week. So thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you very much for reaching back out. So nevertheless, if you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and turn on those post notifications. If you find this content being of value in any way, form, or fashion in your real estate, development, construction endeavors, please comment in the sections below. We'd love to hear from you, and I do respond. So, okay, good morning. A little technical difficulties this morning. You know, we like to get started on time, but sometimes technology doesn't always cooperate. Nevertheless, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and let's get started. Then reading books. I got a whole ton of books that I can recommend you. If you just inbox me directly, I got 5 that you can start off with. The first one is reading Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Understanding the Rat Race, and what that means in the 4 quadrants, going from an employee to self-employed to investor, to business owner to investor, and what those 4 quadrants actually mean. What does it mean to have a dual career in real estate? Sometimes it may not be beneficial for you to just cold turkey quit your job and not really have a plan of execution and jump straight into real estate. A lot of people, they get into it as a dual career. They have a full-time job, they have a full-time income, and then they transition fully to real estate. Some people, they just quit their job cold turkey. They believe in themselves, they take the risk, and they make it work, right? So you just got to figure out what's going to work best for you when, you know, really being a part of this real estate investment world. My experience has been a unique experience. I have completely committed to the world of real estate and construction. We started a real estate construction and brokerage firm in which I do full time. I've been doing it. We're going into our 9th year now. So thank God, 9 years of doing this. Okay, how do we see what's online? I like to acknowledge people when they come on as well. I see 2 people there. Maybe one is from the desktop.
Tell them to say something in the chat.
Yeah, say something in the chat, guys. We like to acknowledge when you wake up and you spend your valuable time with us in the morning. Just to, you know, track who's participating in these early morning coffee sessions with Doc. So in a minute, we're going to open up the floor. So going back to the books that I told you that'd be just great books for you to read. Rich Dad, Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki. Another one is The Wealthy Gardener, is another great book to read. Another one is The Millionaire Next Door, is another great book to read. Another one is one of my all-time favorites, The Richest Man in Babylon, that teaches you the secrets to a lean purse. Really great timeless principles in that. So start off with those 4 books, which will be great reasons you get ready to embark on this world of real estate. So I purchased my first 6-unit owner-occupied building straight out of college in 2000. I came to the area, was recruited to come here as an associate research scientist, and I only did it because I read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I understood what it meant to be able to purchase a multi-unit building owner-occupied where it's not an investment property, because I actually did occupy one of the units. I occupied one of the 1-bedroom units that was in the basement, and I rented out the other 5. And because I was able to purchase that property, acquire that property, owner-occupied versus an investment property, imagine not having to put 20% down, but only having to put 3.5% down. And there are some subsidy programs that they had at the time for first-time home buyers. So if I recall correctly, I got into that property for less than like $5,000. It was something crazy. So that really was the platform. Good morning, Joanna Nevada. Thanks for watching. We're going to open the floor up in just a second for you to ask whatever question you had that we can help you along your journey in accumulating wealth through real estate or real estate construction, real estate development, etc. So that property was the first springboard property that launched my real estate career. I purchased a property for like $185,000, $190,000. It was less than $200,000. Imagine, yeah, for a 6-unit multifamily in Southeast DC in 2000, you can get that for $200,000. The next year, that property appreciated 6 figures in value. When I say 6 figures, I mean like $150,000. It went from a little less than $200,000 to almost $400,000 once I had actually done some renovation work to it. So I was able to leverage that equity, pull equity out of that property, and then do my first flip after that, in which I did put 20% down, but that was okay. But I already had accumulated equity. Not even 12 to 14 months later, that I just transferred that equity and put that money to work. And before you know it, it's off to the races. This is really like playing Monopoly in real life. You know how you get the 4 greenhouses and you trade it in for a hotel? Well, in real estate, you can do 4 flips and trade it in for a bigger flip or trade in for a bigger construction project or development project. It's the same concept. And from there, you pull your profits out, make sure you put put a part of that profit back to work for you. You never want to fully use all of your profits where they're gone, because then those profits become no longer an asset, they become a liability. And what do I mean by that? You don't want to take your profits and buy all these vehicles or, buy a house that may stretch you to your limits at the end of every month when all of the bills are paid, right? So you want to take those profits and take a part for yourself because you've earned it, right? And there are percentages and formulas that we can get into as well. And what percentage of my profit should I take for me? I put in the work. Yes, you should reward yourself. But also, what percentage of those profits do you put back into an investment so those profits are constantly turning into more and more profits for you? And that's the road to wealth accumulation and building wealth through real estate, from that simple process and that simple mechanism. So, Kay, we open the floor for questions. People get the hang that, jump on, get the 6 a.m. morning content before you start your day. Get your questions in. We got lenders that we can refer you to. Sometimes we have deals that we pass on because we just have too many and that we're doing at one time. At any given time, we can be working on 7 to 12 active construction projects at one time. So anything that we can do to help the people in our circle, it's always about how do we come from contribution. And that's the biggest blessing of all. How do I first give before I look to receive or to take from a relationship or from a business venture? And when you come with that mindset, you will always have things come back to you tenfold. It's an amazing phenomenon to understand, to truly, sincerely come from contribution first and foremost, before coming from a place of looking to see what can I get out of this situation. So, Kay, we're now, 15 minutes into our live video.
Yep. So what are some things that we could prepare for going into real estate development? Like, what are some financial things that we should have in place?
Well, you got to know your market that has demand. Right now in the nation's capital, our corporate office is here on Capitol Hill, and DC is saturated with condominiums. And I mean, when you understand that whole movement of, what really happened during COVID and how that had really kind of decimated the condominium market, which was a booming, thriving market at one point. At some point, all developers had to come to a streaking halt because of the fact that a 2x4 went from $2.45 to as much as $14, $15 for one 2x4. Now you do that as a multiplier across a project that can require 2, 3, 4,000 2x4s, and you just added, an 8-time multiplier on top of that, that will decimate your profits at the end of the price. So all developers just had to come to a streaking halt at some point because of the supply chains being backed up during COVID. And then when the supply chain got back to some means of normalcy and all the developers started, continuously finishing the condo projects that they started, you had a mass exodus of people that moved out of the inner city to the suburbs because they realized, look, hey, we need more space. The husband and the wife were both working from home, so both of them wanted to make sure they had office space. And you got a better quality of life. You got more real estate for less the cost, in many instances, moving from the inner city of Washington, D.C. to the suburbs of Maryland and Virginia. And also, you got more bang for your buck in terms of, yard space, amenities that a home may have versus a condo or a row house in D.C. So having a mass exodus of people leave the inner city to the suburbs really impacted the condo market. So you'll see so many condominiums on the market in D.C. That's not the case everywhere. There are many places in Prince George's County, Montgomery County, Fairfax County, where the demand for single-family homes are still in high demand. Now, how do you permeate those markets? It's just a matter of sometimes you got to, there's so many strategies that when you start to read these books, like door knocking, a lot of people don't like to door knock. They're shy, they're scared. I go door knock in a neighborhood in a heartbeat, especially if I have a client that wants to do a tear down and build in that particular community. And I'll just talk to people. You just never know by talking to people, educating people that, look, if I can buy from you directly and save you 6%, yes, I'm getting 6% because they don't have to worry about a listing commission or a sales commission that you would pay a brokerage. And I just want to, buy your house, give you fair market for it. And in addition to that, I'm servicing the purpose of my client who wants to be in that neighborhood, who wants to tear that property down and build new build construction. It just becomes a great win-win situation for both sides. The seller, they're saving 6%. I mean, just imagine 6% on $1 million property. That's $60,000. That's a lot of money. I mean, you can go buy a car for $60,000 cash. So when you start to put that in perspective and to get everybody on both sides of the table to see, look, how do we make this a win-win situation for everyone? Make sure both sides can maximize as much as they're supposed to maximize as far as the return on the investment on the buy side and the return on investment on the list side. Those things, that extra activity of just door knocking becomes an extra win for you and your client when you go out there and you just take action. Again, don't overanalyze the situation and become paralyzed. So many people do that. Start from somewhere. When you put energy in motion, that energy is going to produce some kind of work that's going to produce some kind of result. So you just got to get out there and start the process in a strategic way. Again, get a fundamental foundation of basic knowledge and how do I move forward in this real estate world. Talk to lenders, see how much you get pre-approved for if you use a purchase of property owner occupied. And it's okay if you have a current house. Again, lenders can navigate you into legally how do you move from one property to the next and still keep that property. Again, that's taking action and speaking to a lender so you can start to explore and exercise options. So when that opportunity does come along, you got that component in place to lock in.
Okay, so you mentioned a 201K loan, something like that. Could you explain that a little bit more for those who may be interested in looking for financing?
Yeah, so it's a 203K loan, and what that does is it's a special type of loan that is packaged for distressed properties that need some level of significant renovation to it. The banks get it, okay, look, this property is not going to be turnkey ready, so what we'll do is we'll give you a construction part to that loan. So when you purchase that property, we'll immediately give you money to do a full renovation on that property. Now there's a process too before you just jump into that, because you're going to need a good general contractor. You're going to need an architect that will give some kind of schematic designs as far as the floor plan is concerned, the elevation, because what the appraiser is going to need when he's assessing that deal for the lender to fund on your behalf is, okay, if we give them X number of dollars to build this, in the event that things go wrong, will the market pay this for this property? Case in point, let's just keep the number simple. You can buy a house for $200,000. That's what it costs to buy the distressed property. It needs a lot of work. But if you put $200,000 more into the property is worth $600,000 by the time you build it. You're walking in with $200,000 equity. So the bank looks at that and is like, okay, that's great. We're acquiring the distressed property for $200,000. You're going to put $200 in it. That means everybody's all in for $400. Your construction costs plus your acquisition costs. And there's a $200,000 spread there because we know that the appraiser stated that if you build this at the end of this process, the market is paying $600,000 for this property. Simple example, but that's how it works because the bank is looking for that equity spread and for you not to be upside down or underwater in that particular home. We took that same home and the house was $500,000 and you need to put $200,000 in it, and the market is only giving $600,000 for that same house. Well, you can see that math doesn't make sense. You're a negative $100,000 into that particular home, which means you're negative $100,000 underwater, and the banks are not going to finance that. So just make sure you got a basic concept of what that particular community is doing, what those at the retail value prices are, and what it's going to cost you to acquire that home, and a rough estimate of what the construction cost is going to be. So you got your acquisition cost, construction costs, and then those two numbers added together minus the at the retail value. Once that house is fully renovated, do you have any money on the table? That's the question you need to figure out and want to ask. And if you do have money on the table, that's a solid deal. Look at my niece all the way from South Carolina watching. Mwah, mwah, mwah. How you doing, Steph? Good to see you, dear. Stephanie and her sister Ashley. I remember years ago, I'm sure she doesn't mind us telling this story, but Stephanie and her sister took our advice and they bought their first home. And the beautiful thing is, years later, maybe fast forward 5 years later, Stephanie is now married and she was able to liquidate the equity in her first condominium and buy her a brand new home in the Carolinas. It's a beautiful thing when you're putting your dollars to work for you through real estate. So great job, Stephanie. Thanks for listening many years ago, and I hope that you have many memories in your new home down there in the Carolinas.
All right, awesome. You want to ask the chat? Do we have any questions?
Yes, as we get ready to conclude our first coffee and real estate live event with Doc, now we open the floor for you to ask any question at all that you may have. And Kay is going to help me quarterback this. Believe it or not, y'all, I'm really not that good at using social media. We had to figure out how to turn my camera around. And Kay is the one who's responsible for bringing you all of this great content. So we shoot all this stuff. She slices it up, sends it out during the week. So shout out to Kay, because without her, my social media would not be what it is, or my followers would not be where they are. So thanks a lot, Kay. So Kay, you're going to help me navigate any questions that the audience may have as we get ready to wrap up our first coffee and real estate live event with Doc.
All right, cool. So, I think they shot this morning, but it's okay. So, for those who are in DC and looking to purchase homes in Maryland, Virginia, looking to purchase homes, how should they go about it in this type of market we're in right now?
I tell people there's always a deal in every market. You just got to be looking for it, and a deal will find you. You always have, people who are saying that this is not a good time, this is not a good time. There's always a great time in real estate to buy, whether the market is down or whether the market is up. There's always a great time to buy in real estate. So those people are looking for a home right now, and just know your numbers, right? Know how much liquidity you have. If you can get into it on an occupied where you're putting less than 3.5% down. Know what kind of programs are out there. If you never purchased a home before and you want to get into a multi-family home like I started out, where you can buy a 4-unit duplex on an occupied for little to no money out of pocket, or get into a 203K loan and what that can do in terms of leveraging, or giving you more opportunities than the person who may not want to go through that whole construction process, because some people just don't want to deal with that. They think it's a difficult task, and it's really not. So all of those things. David Bailey, good morning to you too, sir. A licensed Maryland architect, it will be greatly appreciated. Yes, we have one for you. His name is Igor. And what I'll do, David, if you send me a direct message, I'll send you his information back. We can send you Igor, we can send you Katerina, we can send you Gozday. We got 3 that we work with all the time that we'll send you. So send me a direct message, and I'll send you all 3 of those architects' names based on your project. Some are a better fit for others. Some are more contemporary. Some are more commercial based. So just send me a direct message, David, and I'll definitely get those 3 architects to you, brother.
All right, so we're talking about buying a home in DMV.
Yes, and again, if you can hold on to real estate and wait for the market to turn, DC is a great place to be looking for condominiums right now. I mean, condominiums you can get at good prices. Hold on to them, because real estate is cyclical. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. It's been doing that since the beginning of time, and that's not going to change. So, again, know those numbers. Speak to a lender right now so you'll know your options, and they don't even have to do a hard credit pull on your credit. They do a soft credit pull that really literally doesn't impact your credit score. Just speak to your CPA lender about this. But know your numbers and know what money you have available to you, so that as you're looking and you're being active, get that energy out there. Start moving. Start putting these things into motion. Something will open up.
So, what are some things to look for in a lender as we get ready to close?
A lender that is accessible. A lot of times, lenders are bad lenders when they're not accessible for you to communicate and ask questions. They need to be timely. If you speak to a lender today, I mean, your time is valuable. Real estate can move really fast. They need to be getting back to you within 24 hours, if not that same day, and getting you the information you need so that you're well informed of what your financial situation is so that when you get ready to execute on that real estate transaction, it's a go. Based on how lenders respond in the beginning, if you're not even in a deal yet, is very indicative of how they're going to respond throughout that relationship when you do get in a deal. They start off with strong communication. They start off with great accessibility. They start off being very informative and getting things to you in a timely manner. That's a good indicator that's who they're going to be throughout that transaction, that relationship. Now, if they start off communicating real slow, it's hard to get a hold of them. You email them, it's days before they get back to you. You call them, you text them, it's days before they get back to you. That's a good indicator of who that lender is. That's not a good lender. So look for those simple things: accessibility, communication, and information. What options are they giving you? And I mean, when they can give you many, many different options, that's always a great thing, because that means they have many different lending packages in their wheelhouse that will benefit you in terms of how you can execute or strategically get in and out of a real estate transaction.
Okay, awesome. All right, so in landing a plane, getting ready to close up, let people know that we're going to be doing what we're going to be doing, how they can stay connected, and where to meet us next.
So, Kay, these coffee and real estate live events are every third Tuesday of the month. So we're going to be committed to this. I'm an early bird anyway. David, thanks for jumping on. Stephanie, thanks for jumping on. We also had Joanna on here. Thanks for jumping on. We started off with 3, and then there'll be 3,000. We're committed to this. We're committed to sharing this knowledge. We're committed to answering questions. If you all leave and then come back 1 month from now, you have more questions. That's what this is all about. And with that being said and done, take action. First action you take is establishing a basic foundation of fundamental information in terms of how do I strategically build wealth through real estate. What does that look like for me in my situation, right? And once you have that basic foundation of fundamental information and understanding of how you're going to move in that, then take action. Give yourself due dates. Okay, today I'm going to read this book. Everybody's talking about this book. Why does Rich Dad, Poor Dad keep coming up? Because you need to understand the concept of being an investor versus an employee. It's a powerful thing. And once you understand that concept and you commit in your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul, that you are going to build wealth through investing, then what does that look like for you? And how do you use real estate as a vehicle to do that? There's many ways to build wealth. Real estate, it's a proven fact, 97% of self-made millionaires in the world make their millions through real estate. Self-made millionaires through real estate. So how do you get your piece of that pie? And how do you come up with a strategic plan of execution that's actionable and that you have benchmarks so that you know that that plan is moving along the way at critical due dates that you got to be disciplined and stick to? So first thing is, find that book, read that book. Once you read that book, write out due dates, okay? By 30 days from now, I would have read this book. By 60 days from now, I would have got financing in place because I've spoken to a lender 1 week from now. So again, there's different activities. So let me just give you a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 approach. First approach, grab the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, mind you, like, it's just a great book. I don't know, Robert Kiyosaki doesn't give me any kickbacks off of it. It's just a great book. It's great concepts that are life-changing. It changed mine. Step 2, speak to a lender this week. So this week, you're going to reach out to a lender. If you need a lender for us to refer you to, we got lenders all the way from here to California, literally. Step 3, you're going to put a due date on, and I'm going to give you a due date. Within 2 weeks, I want you to identify 5 properties that fit your budget. After you spoke to your lender or have spoken to your lender, you're going to identify 5 projects that fit your budget, and then I want you to do a basic analysis on those projects. What it's going to cost you out of pocket to get in it? Are you going to need renovation? Is it going to be a buy and hold? Is it going to be a flip? Those are the 3 questions you're going to ask. So now you're getting to the exercise of propelling yourself and really looking at real estate seriously, because now you got to have 5 properties in 2 weeks that you're going to look at. And then step 4, once you look at those 5 properties, you're going to select the best one that fits your need. You don't have to go big. And if you can go big, don't fear it. Embrace it, right? look at those 5 properties, select one, and then you're going to get back to your lender. And then that 5th and final step is you are going to write a contract. Did you hear that? In 30 to 45 days, be prepared to write your first contract. That's taking action. Now, I know that may sound a bit unnerving, but look, failure is a beautiful thing. The faster you fail, and when you embrace failure fast, you succeed even faster. And not fear failure, but embrace failure. There's a difference there, because when you embrace failure, you're looking for the lesson to be learned there. And when you find those lessons, not just that single lesson, sometimes there's a multiplicity of different lessons that you learn through beautiful failure. It makes you wiser, it makes you smarter, it makes you more intelligent in terms of the overall situation and how you need to attack that situation next time, so that you will succeed even faster. I love to fail every day. I do things that I've never done every single day, and I laugh at the failure, and I was like, okay, what's the lesson in this? And how do I not make this failure again? And I succeed even faster. So you're going to fail along the way. Embrace it. Be happy about it. And in your failure, make sure you're learning the lessons. So again, these lessons translate into you accumulating all that you deserve in your wealth building journey. And I wish you nothing but the very best in that. So you got 5 distinctive steps that you're going to take in the next 30 to 45 days that's going to make sure you are now on your path of acquiring your next real estate property and building wealth.
All right, so last question, I guess. You have David Bailey saying, sir, my wife and I are currently back home in Maryland, and do you currently have a reconstruction project going on that we could come see in person?
Absolutely. We got 4 that you can come see. Again, direct message me when we hang up, Brother Bailey. We're going to reach out to you, but we got 4 properties that you can see under construction at various phases right now, and we would love to show them to you and your wife. So thanks a lot for joining us this morning. The honor and privilege has been ours, and thank you for being an active participant.
All right, so we close now.
All right, till next time. See you in 1 month.